Have you ever stood at the sink, rinsing out your morning cup, and suddenly felt the weight of silence? Not the kind that frightens, but the kind that whispers, reminding you just how much time has passed. Why does the world feel quieter now? Even though you've lived through so much noise, love, and change. Isn't it strange how we can feel lonely in a house full of memories? The voices that once echoed down the hallway, the laughter around holiday tables, the hurried mornings, the sleepy goodnights, now wrapped in stillness. But still your heart beats. Still you wake. Still you wonder, what now? What happens to joy when life slows down? How do we keep going when so much has already passed? Are we still allowed to dream, even at 70? Can we still protect what matters, even when the world seems to move on without us? In this video, we'll talk about something most people avoid, not just out of fear, but out of not knowing where to begin. We'll talk about what happens in your body during a heart attack and how to outsmart it after 60. Not just as an idea, but as a quiet companion for the soul. A reminder that even now you have power, choice, and time. You see, the heart is more than a muscle. It's where we've stored every love letter, every goodbye, every moment we said, "I'll be okay," even when we weren't. It's carried us through births, weddings, losses, illnesses, and still, it keeps going. But like any tireless traveler, the heart too gets weary. And after 60, it starts sending signals, not to punish us, but to ask, can you still care for me the way I've cared for you? Many of us don't know what a heart attack really feels like. Movies show the dramatic collapse, the clutching chest, the sudden fall. But in real life, it can be quieter. It can begin with a tightness in the jaw, a strange heaviness in the arms, a dull ache in the chest, or even just a wave of exhaustion that won't go away. Sometimes it shows up like a whisper, not a scream, and we brush it off. We think, it's just age, or I didn't sleep well, or maybe it's something I ate. And in those small moments of delay, the heart is begging to be heard. After 60, the risks rise, not just because of time, but because we carry more behind us. Decades of habits, stress, grief, and sometimes neglect. But here's the truth, many doctors forget to say gently, a heart attack doesn't have to be the end. In many ways, it can be a beginning, a wake-up call that says, it's not too late. Not too late to listen, not too late to care, not too late to change the story. And so, this isn't just about medical facts or warning signs. It's about learning how to love your body. Again, how to notice the whispers before they become screams. How to be the guardian of your own life, even when the world seems to have stopped asking. Let's start with something simple, something quiet. Imagine your heart right now. It's not just beating, it's remembering every moment you got through when you didn't think you could. Every time you held back tears so someone else could be strong. Every time you stayed when walking away would have been easier. That heart has carried the weight of your entire life, and it's asking for just a little help. One of the most important things to understand is how blood moves through the body. You've probably heard the word plaque, not the kind on your teeth, but the sticky stuff that builds inside your arteries. Over time, especially after 60, cholesterol, fat, and other materials can quietly pile up along the walls of your blood vessels, like debris in a river. You don't feel it, you can't see it, but it's there, narrowing the path. And then, one day, a tiny piece of that plaque breaks off. Your body, always trying to protect you, rushes in to fix the damage. It forms a clot, but that clot ends up blocking the very river it's trying to repair. Blood can't flow, oxygen can't reach the heart muscle, and the heart, your oldest, most faithful friend, starts to cry out. That's what a heart attack really is. It's not a punishment, it's not failure. It's a call to slow down, to look inward, to listen. And what's beautiful, truly beautiful, is that your body often gives you a moment of choice. A moment before things spiral when you can say, wait, something's not right. That moment can be your miracle, but only if you know how to hear it. This is where we begin. In the parts ahead, we'll walk gently, one step at a time, through the signs your body tries to give you. We'll talk about small changes that can rewrite your future, and we'll do it not with fear, but with quiet courage. Because the truth is, you are not powerless, and your story's not finished. So stay with me. Let's take this journey together, because the heart isn't just where the pain starts, it's also where healing begins. And maybe, just maybe, the most beautiful years of your life still have time to unfold. You're still here. And that means something. It means your story isn't over. It means there are still quiet mornings to enjoy, soft hands to hold, and moments to feel your chest rise with breath and think, yes, I made it to another day. When you're over 60, every heartbeat becomes a kind of miracle. Not the loud kind, with trumpets and grand gestures, but the soft kind, like the creak of a rocking chair, or the laughter of a grandchild down the hall. But how do we protect this miracle, this heart that's carried us through everything? We begin by understanding what it's asking for, and often it's asking for relief. You see, the heart isn't just an organ, it's a worker, and it's been clocking in for you every single second since the day you were born. It doesn't get a vacation, it doesn't take a break. Even when you're asleep, even when you're grieving, even when you feel numb, it's working. But over the years, we pile on stress. Sometimes we carry it without even knowing, in our shoulders, in our sleep, in our breath. We bottle up worries about family, finances, regrets we don't speak of out loud. And your heart? It holds all of that too. Stress tightens the arteries. It's like narrowing a road during rush hour. The same traffic now has less space. The blood still tries to get through, but the path is tense, crowded, unsafe. That's why after 60, managing stress isn't a luxury, it's survival. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes all your heart needs is 5 minutes of stillness. 5 minutes to breathe deeply, to step away from noise, to close your eyes and listen to the rhythm inside your chest. That rhythm, it's the oldest song in your body. And when you learn to honor it, to slow down and let it play, your heart begins to heal. Not magically, not all at once, but gently, like a flower remembering how to bloom. Another quiet danger, inflammation. Doctors throw that word around a lot, but let me paint a picture. Imagine your arteries as soft inner roads. Over time, with too much processed food, not enough movement, too little sleep, or just plain emotional wear and tear, those roads become irritated. They swell, and that swelling makes it easier for cholesterol to stick, for blockages to build, for danger to settle in without a sound. That's why after 60, what you eat becomes not just about weight, but about peace. Yes, peace. Because food isn't just fuel, it's medicine, it's memory. It's how you say, I care about myself, even when no one else is watching. You don't have to become a health guru. You don't need a cupboard full of powders and pills, but you can choose an apple instead of a cookie sometimes. You can add color to your plate, berries, greens, oranges, purples. You can drink water before coffee, walk after breakfast, and rest before stress becomes noise. These are small things, but they're also sacred. And when you do them not to punish your body, but to thank it, everything shifts. Let's talk about one more thing many people overlook: sleep. There's this idea that as we age, we just don't sleep as well anymore. And while that's common, it's not something we have to accept without trying. Because poor sleep is like forgetting to charge your phone at night. You wake up, but you're running on fumes. And your heart, it's still expected to go full speed, still expected to climb stairs, lift groceries, handle bad news, smile politely. But how can it do all that? Tired. So if sleep escapes you, whether from pain, thoughts, or restlessness, maybe it's time to rebuild your nighttime rituals. Soothing music, warm tea, less news before bed, a prayer, a poem, a few gentle stretches, and yes, even forgiveness, especially for yourself. Because the truth is, healing isn't always about doing more. Sometimes it's about doing less, but with more love. You've made it through so many storms. You've said goodbye to people you loved. You've watched the world change in ways you never imagined. But through it all, your heart never stopped. That's why it deserves your care now, more than ever. And if you're thinking, well, I've already lived this long without worrying about it, why start now? Here's what I'll say. Because you can. Because if your heart has given you this many years, maybe it's your turn to give back. Not out of fear, but out of gratitude. Not because you're broken, but because you're still becoming. In the next part, we'll explore the small, powerful choices that have saved lives. From the foods that soften the arteries, to the signs that whisper, something's wrong before it shouts. But for now, just breathe. Place your hand on your chest. Feel that gentle thump. That's your heart saying thank you for listening, for showing up, for still believing there's more life to live. Let's keep walking together. There's so much more to discover. Sometimes the body whispers before it screams, and the heart, it's no different. It gives us signs, quiet ones, like a subtle tightness in the chest after climbing stairs, a strange pressure in the arms, or even sudden fatigue that feels heavier than usual. But here's the truth many people don't want to hear. Heart attacks rarely look like they do in the movies. No clutching at the chest, no dramatic collapse in the middle of a crowded room. In reality, especially for older adults, it can start with something as simple as discomfort in the jaw, or nausea you brush off as indigestion. Sometimes it's just a strange uneasiness, a feeling deep in your bones that something isn't quite right. And that's why listening, truly listening, to your body matters now more than ever. Because your body remembers. It carries every mile you've walked, every ache you ignored, every moment you pushed through the pain. It carries grief too. Grief for the things you lost, the people who left too soon, the versions of yourself that no longer exist. But here's something beautiful. Your body also carries resilience. It remembers how you survived, how you held on, how you kept going, even when you didn't feel strong. And that same resilience, it can help you outsmart a heart attack. Let's talk about the signs that matter most. If you feel a tightness in your chest that doesn't go away with rest, if you suddenly break into a cold sweat, if your arms, neck, back, or jaw ache in a way that feels unusual, if you feel dizzy, lightheaded, or like you might pass out, don't explain it away. Don't say, it's probably nothing. Don't wait until morning. Call. Get help. Because minutes matter. And it's not weakness. It's wisdom. Think of it this way. If your car engine started making a strange noise, would you ignore it and drive across the country? Number, you'd pull over. You'd take a look. You'd ask someone who knows what to do. Your heart deserves that same kind of respect. But beyond the emergency signs, what about prevention? What can you do today to gently turn the tide? It begins with daily rituals, not grand changes, not overnight miracles, but small, deliberate acts of care. Like walking, just 20 minutes a day. Nothing fancy, no gym required, just you, your shoes, and maybe a quiet street or a nearby park. It gets the blood moving. It lifts the fog in your mind. It whispers to your heart, I haven't forgotten you. Or laughter. Yes, laughter. We underestimate how powerful it is. It reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, improves blood flow. Even remembering a joyful memory can bring measurable relief to your heart. And connection. This one may be the most important of all. Loneliness, especially after 60, can become its own kind of disease, not just emotional, but physical. Studies have shown that isolation can raise your risk of heart disease just as much as smoking or obesity. That's how deeply we're wired for connection. A phone call, a shared story, a walk with a friend, even chatting with someone at the grocery store. It matters more than we think. You weren't meant to carry this life alone. We need each other. Hearts need other hearts. To remind them how to beat, how to soften, how to stay strong. And now, a gentle but powerful tip you may never have heard. Know your numbers. Blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar. They're not just doctor's terms. They're quiet indicators of what's happening beneath the surface. You don't have to obsess over them, but knowing them gives you power. It's like knowing the weather forecast before you go outside. It helps you dress wisely, to prepare, to protect. And the more you know, the more you can choose. You can choose meals that love your heart. You can choose rest before exhaustion. You can choose joy over resentment, forgiveness over bitterness, because emotions matter too. Bitterness, fear, anger. They don't just live in your mind. They live in your body. They change your hormones, your blood vessels, your immune system. That's why healing your heart after 60 isn't just about medicine. It's about meaning, about taking what you've lived through, the highs, the lows, the quiet days in between, and letting it soften you, not harden you. When you forgive someone who never said sorry, when you finally let go of something that's hurt for years, when you speak kindly to yourself in the mirror, your heart feels it, and in that feeling, healing begins. You've lived through eras. You've seen generations grow. You've watched the world shift from rotary phones to smartphones, from handwritten letters to video calls. You are not fragile. You are seasoned. But even the strongest trees bend with the wind. Even the bravest hearts need tending, so tend to yours, gently, daily, with reverence. And in the next part, the final chapter, what it truly means to live well after 60, not just avoiding death, but embracing life. Because your heart's greatest power is not in how long it beats, but in how deeply it loves, how quietly it endures, and how beautifully it carries you home. Let's keep walking. There's one more step on this path together. Do you remember the feeling of watching the sun rise, not rushing to be anywhere, not needing to prove anything, just watching the light spill over the edge of the world? That quiet moment where everything feels still and somehow more alive than ever? That's what a healthy heart gives you. Not just more time, but more moments. Moments where you can hold your grandchild's hand and feel their tiny fingers wrap around yours. Moments where your spouse, or your sister, or your best friend from high school tells an old story you've heard 1,000 times. And still, you both laugh like it's the first. Moments where you sit by a window with a cup of tea and nothing in particular happens, but peace washes over you like a soft tide. That's the real reward of protecting your heart. Not the numbers on a chart, not even the years added to your life, but the life added to your years. Because here's the thing many forget. After 60, you're not winding down. You're waking up in a new way. You've crossed oceans that most haven't. You've lived through losses that almost broke you. And yet here you are, still breathing, still learning, still loving. That deserves more than survival. It deserves celebration. So how do we truly outsmart a heart attack? It's not just about medicine or exercise or diet. Though those matter, it's about shifting the way we live. Because your heart isn't just an organ. It's a storyteller. It remembers how you've lived and responds to how you live now. Let's begin with something unexpected. Joy. Joy isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. People think that after a certain age, joy becomes harder to find. But the truth is, it just becomes quieter. It shows up in simpler places, like watching birds gather on a fence in the early morning. Or hearing a favorite song from the 70s and singing every word, even the ones you thought you forgot. Joy brings oxygen to the heart. It tells your body, we're still alive, we're still grateful. And then there's purpose. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be a second career or writing a book. Sometimes purpose is taking care of a plant, calling someone who's lonelier than you, making a pot of soup and sharing it with the neighbor across the hall. When you give, your heart opens. It's not about giving away what you have, it's about offering who you are. And you, my friend, you have so much to give. Wisdom, kindness, perspective that can only come from decades of living, loving, losing, and continuing anyway. That's medicine the world desperately needs. Now let's talk about something that often gets overlooked. Forgiveness. Not just for others, but for yourself. Maybe you haven't always treated your body the way it deserved. Maybe you waited too long to get help. Maybe you carry regrets. Things you didn't say, chances you didn't take. But let me tell you something that matters more than any diet or doctor's note. Shame doesn't heal the heart. Compassion does. You can begin again, today, with a single deep breath, with one kind word to yourself in the mirror, with one better choice at dinner tonight, with one walk, one stretch, one call to the person you've been meaning to reconnect with. You don't need to do everything. You just need to begin. And finally, we arrive at perhaps the most powerful medicine of all, peace. Peace comes when you stop fighting the past, when you stop racing time, when you accept what is and still open your arms to what could be. Peace doesn't mean nothing hurts. It means you don't have to carry the hurt alone. It means breathing slower, saying no to what drains you, saying yes to what heals you. Maybe that's music. Maybe it's prayer. Maybe it's a morning walk before the world wakes up, or writing down the 5 things you're grateful for before going to sleep. Each small act becomes a rhythm, like the beat of a heart that has learned to keep going through everything. So here we are. We began this conversation with a question. What happens in your body during a heart attack? And how can you outsmart it after 60? We've walked through the warning signs. We've looked at the science and the soul. And now we end where all meaningful things end, with a choice. The choice to live like your heart matters, because it does, not just to you, but to the people who still need your stories, to the strangers who smile when they see you walking past, to the world that is quietly made better by your presence. So today, take your heart in your hands, whisper to it, thank you, I see you, I choose you, and live like you mean it. Because it's never too late to be gentler with yourself, to move a little more, to laugh a little louder, to love a little deeper. Your heart has carried you this far. Now it's your turn to carry it forward. If this message touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs it, someone you love, someone who might just need a quiet reminder that they matter, that you matter. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. We're building something beautiful here, a place for peace, wisdom, and strength, no matter your age. Your next chapter is still being written, and your heart, it's ready. Let's live well together.